Hey everybody, Dr. Davis here, and thanks for joining me for this next video in my series on shoulder pain. In the last video, we talked about some of the more common causes of pain in the shoulder, particularly from an orthopedic standpoint. I hope watching that has helped you figure out some of what may be going on. If you didn't have a chance to watch it, or if you still aren't quite sure what may be causing the pain in your shoulder, I would suggest you go back and watch that video again. If you did the homework that I assigned in that video, then you should have a pretty good idea now exactly where the pain is, what sort of positions or activities you do that seem to aggravate the pain, and what you can do that doesn't cause any pain. So using that information, today we're going to go over kind of a general, broad overview of some of the different treatments that are available for shoulder pain. Kind of a 10,000 foot view. Now, you don't have to do all of these things at the same time, and you may not even have to do all of them entirely. If some of the simple strategies are effective at eliminating your shoulder pain, then you may not have to move on through the list. So the first strategy that we're going to employ is rest. Now, I know that sounds very simple, and it really is, but rest is an important component of the healing process. Your body is designed with certain systems in place that will recognize damage, overuse, inflammation, whatever the case may be. But those healing processes take time. And if you are continually re-aggravating the shoulder, taking something that's already inflamed and irritated, and further irritating it, then the process will just continue on, sometimes indefinitely. The other problem is that those healing processes, if you continually interrupt them at some point, they will just stop. And even if you rest later, sometimes the problem won't heal. So rest is an important component. Now, I'm not talking about completely shutting down. I'm sure you've probably heard horror stories of people that, in an effort to avoid something that was painful, they stopped using the arm and it got locked up, very stiff, and it took a lot of effort, a lot of physical therapy to get the motion back in the shoulder. That's not what we're talking about here. Again, if you did the homework that we assigned, you hopefully have identified some of the positions or activities that make the shoulder hurt, and that's what we're going to try to avoid. So if you can use your arms down here at waist level, even if you can move back and forth like this and it doesn't hurt your shoulder, then it's okay for you to do those sort of things. But if reaching up over your head is what causes the pain, or if reaching back in the back seat of the car is what causes the pain, then those are the things that you want to avoid. So understanding what makes it hurt and avoiding those specific activities is really what we're talking about when we talk about rest. And a good illustration of this is if you were, say, making some homemade chocolate chip cookies and you mixed all the ingredients up and put them on a cookie sheet, threw it in the oven, and you sit there for a few minutes, and then after just a few minutes you start to smell those cookies and you really want to try one. You go over to the oven door and you open it, and as soon as you look inside you can tell that they're not done yet. So you close the door, you wait a few more minutes. Well, when you open that door, it lets out a lot of the heat, and that's going to affect how those cookies turn out. And if you sit there at the door and are constantly opening the door and closing the door, looking at those cookies to see when they're done, you're going to mess them up. And so if you are continually testing your shoulder to see what it can do, is it well enough for you to go back to the gym? Can you do yard work? Can you do this, that, or whatever it is that you're trying to do? If you're constantly re-irritating the shoulder, it's not going to heal properly, just like those cookies aren't going to turn out right. So I understand the eagerness to get back to activity as quickly as possible, but you have to let your body heal. So that's step number one, is rest.